Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something you might see all the time, but maybe haven't thought much about. The plants living in ponds.
That's right. Ponds can look simple, maybe just green on top, but there's a whole world of different plants under the surface and around the edges.
And we're using some great info you sent over, specifically a guide from the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension on identifying these plants.
Yeah, it's a really practical resource, helps break things down.
So our goal today is to, move past just calling everything pond weeds. We want to understand the main types of aquatic plants and why figuring out what actually matters.
Exactly. It's key for understanding the pond's health, its ecosystem, and how it supports wildlife.
Okay, so this guide, it splits the plants into four main groups for management purposes. Where do we start?
Well, the guide lays out four key categories. First, there's algae and other plankton, then floating plants, submerged plants, and finally, emergent plants.
Got it. Algae and plankton. Sounds pretty basic. What kind of things fall under that?
These are the most primitive types. You've got microscopic stuff, the planktonic algae, which are really the base of the food chain.
Okay, tiny little guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's filamentous algae. That's the stringy, kind of hair-like mats you often see floating.
Ah, the slimy stuff sometimes.
Can be, yeah. And there's also chara, which looks a bit more like a complex plant. It's branched, but it doesn't have true roots like higher plants do.
Okay, so that's category one.
Yeah.
What about plants we can actually, see floating around on top?
Right, those are the floating plants. Pretty straightforward. They're not rooted to the bottom.
They just drift.
They just drift. And they could be really different sizes. Think tiny, tiny duckweed, like little green specks,
Uh-huh.
all the way up to something like a water hyacinth, which can be over a foot across, quite large.
Wow. Do they have roots at all?
Most actually do, yeah.
Yeah.
They just hang down in the water, pulling nutrients directly from it instead of the soil.
Interesting. Okay, so floating is covered. What's next? The ones underwater.
Exactly. Submerged plants. These guys are rooted in the pond bottom, but almost all of their leaves and stems stay below the water surface.
So they don't really stick out.
Not usually. The
Hmm.
key thing is they tend to have soft, sort of flaccid stems that wouldn't be able to support themselves out of the water.
Okay, I can picture that. Like seaweed, almost, but in fresh water.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And understanding these is important because some, like certain pond weeds or Elodia, are really beneficial. They produce oxygen, provide cover for fish.
Ah, so you wouldn't want to just rip them all out thinking they're weeds.
Precisely. Misidentification can lead you to remove something valuable for the pond's health.
Makes sense. That leaves one more category, right? The ones we see along the banks.
That's the one. Emergent plants. Think cattails, reeds, rushes.
The tall one.
The tall ones, exactly. They're rooted in the shallow water near the shoreline, but their stems and leaves stand up firmly above the water surface. They tend to have stiffer stems than the submerged plants.
Okay, cattails are a perfect example. So we have these four groups. Why is it so critical to tell them apart, according to the AgriLife Guide?
Well, the big reason is wildlife. Many of these plants, sometimes specific types within each category, provide really essential food or habitat.
Habitat like shelter and places to breed.
Exactly. Food, shelter, nesting sites for everything from insects and fish to amphibians, reptiles, and birds, including migratory ones.
So if you know what you have, you can manage the pond better for wildlife.
That's the idea. You might want to encourage certain beneficial native plants, or maybe you need to control an invasive species, but you don't want to harm the good stuff accidentally. Identification is the first step.
Right. You need to know what you're looking at before you decide to manage it.
Precisely. And that's why a guide helps you to look at what you see, figure out the group, and then try to narrow that down. It helps make informed choices.
Okay, so quick recap. We've got the microscopic and stringy algae and plankton.
The base level.
Then the free drifting floating plants.
Yep, on the surface.
The rooted but underwater submerged plants.
Mostly hidden below.
And the shoreline emergent plants standing tall.
You got it. Those are the four main types for management.
And the big takeaway really is that knowing, which isn't just academic, it's crucial for taking care of the pond ecosystem, right?
Absolutely. It lets you appreciate the role these plants play and manage them thoughtfully, especially considering their value to wildlife.
It really changes how you might look at a pond. It's not just water and some green bits. It's this whole hidden world.
It really is a complex web, and the plants are a huge part of that structure and function.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is, next time you're near a pond, pause for a moment. Look closely at the edges, the surface, maybe even try to see what's below. Think about these different plant types and how they contribute. It's a surprisingly diverse and busy place.